Unknown. Samir. The cavern. The wind outside was a savage beast, its icy claws tearing at my skin with relentless fury, each gust a barrage of needles that pierced through flesh to chill the bone. The cold was a living thing, merciless and unyielding, stripping away warmth until my body trembled on the edge of surrender. But stepping into the shelter of the cavern was like crossing a sacred threshold. The oppressive storm fell silent, replaced by a gentle warmth that seeped into my core, coaxing life back into my numb fingers and toes. It was as if the air itself wrapped me in a tender embrace, heavy with the promise of solace, the faint scent of damp stone grounding me in this newfound haven. I opened my eyes, drawing a deep, quivering breath that tasted of earth and mystery. I lay on my back, the cool, unyielding stone beneath me, a quiet anchor as my strength slowly returned, pulse by pulse. Content to linger in this cocoon of stillness, I felt no need to stir, only a profound gratitude for the respite from the storm's cruelty. "Where are we?" I asked, my voice a fragile thread, nearly lost in the vastness of the space. "Get up, look around," Ogleflow replied, his tone calm yet laced with a spark of anticipation, like a guide unveiling a long-hidden secret. With deliberate care, I rose, my limbs still heavy from the ordeal, my breath catching as my eyes adjusted to the dim, otherworldly light. Awe crashed over me like a tidal wave, stealing the air from my lungs. I stood within a cavern so vast it seemed carved from the mountain's very soul, a cathedral of stone that felt like a portal to another plane. The walls shimmered with a living radiance, aglow with bioluminescent fungi that pulsed in mesmerizing shades of sapphire, emerald, and twilight amethyst. Their soft light wove intricate patterns across the rugged stone, like the breath of some ancient spirit stirring in the shadows. From the vaulted ceiling, delicate fungal tendrils cascaded like silken veils, their faint glimmers twinkling like a constellation of stars, each one a whisper of enchantment suspended in the stillness. At the cavern's heart lay a crystalline pool, its waters so pristine they seemed forged from liquid starlight. Every smooth pebble and silken ripple at its depths was visible, as if the surface were a window to another world. The pool drank in the fungi's glow, its surface shimmering with an ethereal ballet of blues, greens, and silvers that seemed to hum with quiet vitality. The air was cool and heavy with moisture, carrying the rich, loamy scent of ancient earth interwoven with a delicate, almost honeyed sweetness from the glowing fungi. Each breath felt like a communion with the cavern's spirit. The silence was alive, punctuated by the soft, rhythmic drip of water from unseen stalactites, each drop a crystalline note in a timeless melody, harmonizing with a faint, resonant hum. An undercurrent of primal magic that pulsed through the stone like the heartbeat of the mountain itself. This place was not merely a cave, it was a living tapestry of secrets, its every glint and shadow whispering of mysteries older than the stars. Ogleflow sat cross-legged at the pool's edge, his vibrant suit a kaleidoscope of reflected light, each thread catching the cavern's shifting hues in a dazzling interplay of color. His pale, iridescent skin shimmered as though woven from moonlight, each subtle movement sending ripples of prismatic light across his form, as if he were a fragment of the cavern's enchantment made flesh. His striped hair fell in a cascade over his face as he leaned forward, gazing into the pool's depths, where smooth stones and tiny darting fish glimmered in perfect clarity. The damp air clung to him, mist curling around his silhouette like a lover's caress, and the cavern's subtle hum seemed to resonate with the steady rhythm of his breath. He was a vision of serenity, lost in a silent dialogue with the ancient spirit of this place, his presence both anchor and enigma. I stepped forward, my boots whispering against the stone, my breath catching in sharp, reverent gasps as the surreal beauty enveloped me. My wide eyes darted between the luminous fungi and the radiant pool, its surface a mirror to the cavern's magic, reflecting light in a dance that felt alive. Hesitating at the water's edge, I crouched low, my fingers hovering just above the surface, trembling with awe, too sacred to disturb its perfection. The stillness of the place sent a shiver through me, a faint unease woven into the wonder, like a single dissonant note in a symphony. Yet the beauty overwhelmed my fear, pulling me into its embrace. Glancing at Ogleflow, his tranquil presence a beacon in the glow, I whispered, "It's like the world forgot this place exists. It's so beautiful." Ogleflow turned his head slowly, his shimmering hair catching the bioluminescent light like a halo of woven stars. A faint, knowing smile curved his pale lips, his eyes glinting with a wisdom that seemed to span eons. "Forgotten?" he said, his voice soft and melodic, resonating against the cavern walls like a distant chime carried on a breeze. "No, young fun. Places like this aren't forgotten. They're hidden. Protected even." He dipped his fingertips into the crystalline pool, sending delicate ripples spreading outward like silver rings, each one catching the light in a fleeting, radiant spark. It reveals itself to those it deems worthy, and it's not often it welcomes too. His gaze flickered to me, his eyes alight with a depth that felt both tender and unfathomable. "Cherish it," he urged, his voice a gentle command that lingered in the air like a spell. Ogleflow leaned back, his hand trailing across the pool's cool surface, his glowing reflection wavering beneath him like a living portrait painted in light. His voice took on a hypnotic cadence, each word heavy with purpose, as if drawn from the cavern's own wisdom. "Young fun, this place, it's special, yes, but it's not unique." His shimmering gaze met mine, piercing yet warm, like a flame that did not burn. "Every person has a sacred place like this, not carved in stone or hidden in forests, but deep within their own minds, a refuge built from their own thoughts and dreams." He dipped his hand into the water again, watching the ripples fan out in a mesmerizing dance. When life becomes chaotic and the storms rage too fiercely, that place is where you can go. Close your eyes and it will be there, a world untouched by sorrow or fear. You just have to believe in it, young fun, and it will believe in you. I blinked, his words sinking into me like rain into parched earth, stirring something deep within. Ogleflow's faint smile held a quiet assurance, a beacon in the cavern's glow. "This cave, it's a reflection of your potential. Trust it and trust yourself," he said. My eyes widened as his meaning took root, and for a moment I sat in silence, staring at the glowing pool, its surface a tapestry of light and shadow that seemed to pulse with my own heartbeat. "A place? In my mind?" I asked softly, my voice trembling with awe and uncertainty, fragile as a leaf in the wind. I looked down at my hands, flexing my fingers as if I could seize the concept and hold it close. "I don't think I've ever found anything like that. My mind just feels noisy." I glanced at Ogleflow, his shimmering form radiating a calm that felt like a balm to my restless thoughts. "But what if I can't find it? What if it's not there for me?" I said, my voice faltering, a thread of doubt weaving through my words like a shadow across the pool. Ogleflow's steady gaze anchored me, his presence a quiet harbor in the storm of my uncertainty. I took a deep breath, my eyes drawn to the ripples in the pool, each one catching the light in a fleeting shimmer. "Maybe I'll try," I murmured, my words fragile but resolute, like a seed breaking through stone. "I'll try to find my place." Ogleflow turned fully toward me, his iridescent skin glistening like a living gem under the fungi's faint glow, each facet catching the light in a cascade of color. "Young fun," he said gently, his voice a soothing current. "You're already here. This is your place. It was waiting for you long before you knew to look for it." He gestured to the cavern walls, where the glowing fungi seemed to pulse in time with my breath, as if the cave itself breathed with me, alive to my presence. "This pool, this light, it reflects not just this moment but you. It feels peaceful because it is part of you. Every ripple in the water, every glimmer of the walls, is an extension of your spirit. When you feel lost, this is the refuge that will call to you. You only need to close your eyes and remember." He leaned closer, his glowing eyes soft but resolute, like twin stars in the cavern's twilight. "This is no ordinary cave, young fun. It chose you just as much as you chose it," he said. Years later, as an old man, I would sit in my garden under the deepening twilight, the sky bruised with hues of violet and indigo, stars just beginning to pierce the velvet dark. Long shadows stretched across my weathered face, my trembling hands resting on my knees, worn by time, yet steadied by memory. My gaze would drift, unfocused, lost in the vivid echo of that glowing cavern. The gentle hum of the bioluminescent fungi, the crystal-clear pool mirroring the depths of my soul, and Ogleflow's enigmatic words would return as clearly as if I stood there still, their weight undimmed by the decades. A faint smile would curve my lips, born of a wisdom hard-won through life's tempests. That cavern was no mere place. It was a lodestar, a lesson etched into my being. In life's darkest hours, when doubt or fear loomed like storm clouds, I would retreat to that sanctuary in my mind, the ripples of the pool and the glow of the walls my quiet strength, guiding me through the shadows. Without it, I wondered if I'd have ever truly found myself. Gratitude warmed my chest each time I returned there, a sacred pilgrimage of the heart. To others, it might be a fanciful tale of youth, but to me, the cavern was everything, where I learned to trust myself, to find resilience in stillness, to know the truth of who I was. We sat in companionable silence at the pool's edge, our reflections shimmering on its glassy surface, bathed in the ethereal glow of the fungi's blues and greens, their light casting soft halos across our faces. The only sounds were the soft drip of water from the cavern's ceiling, each drop a delicate chime, and the occasional ripple in the pool, its surface trembling as if stirred by an unseen breath. My eyes traced the glistening walls, my breathing slow and steady, the weight of earlier fears softened by the cavern's tranquil magic, its embrace as gentle as a lullaby. Ogleflow sat still as a statue, his eyes closed, a faint smile radiating deep contentment, as if he were drinking in the cavern's peace like nectar. The harmony between us was palpable, a rare and precious moment of unity that felt like a gift. How long we lingered, I couldn't say. Time seemed to dissolve in this place, its flow as fluid as the pool before us, unbound by the rigid march of hours. But a troubling thought pierced the calm, sharp and unwelcome, like a stone dropped into still water. I turned to Ogleflow, who still basked in the silence, his serene presence unshaken, and asked, "If opposites are both true and exist at the same time, is there an opposite to this place in my mind?" Ogleflow let out a soft sigh, his eyes fluttering open to meet mine, their glow softened by a trace of concern. "Why would you think such a thought, young fun?" he asked, his tone gentle but edged with a quiet warning, like a breeze carrying the scent of distant rain. "I couldn't help it. It just popped into my head," I replied, a faint unease stirring within me, like a shadow moving beneath the pool's surface. "Be mindful of your thoughts, young fun. They may take you where you wish not to go," he cautioned, his voice low, each word deliberate, as if he were navigating a path through thorns. "What do you mean?" I pressed, my curiosity outweighing the tremor of apprehension that flickered in my chest. Ogleflow stroked his chin, his gaze distant, as if peering into the depths of time itself. He wasn't searching for the answer, but for the words to bridge the gap between his wisdom and my 10-year-old mind. He leaned back, the cavern's light playing across his iridescent skin like a living mosaic, each shimmer a fleeting story. "Young fun," he began, his voice deliberate, resonant with the weight of truth. "Thoughts are like droplets of water. One alone might vanish, but when many come together, they form a stream. They find others of their kind, similar vibrations, similar intentions, and they stick together, creating currents in your mind." He dipped his hand into the pool, sending ripples outward in a mesmerizing dance, each one catching the light in a cascade of silver. "See this? Your thoughts do the same. Positive thoughts attract more positivity. And fear, well, it clings to other thoughts like it, growing stronger." His eyes locked with mine, steady and piercing, like a lighthouse cutting through fog. "That's why it matters what you choose to think about. Each thought feeds the stream, shaping the waters of your life." But in answer to your question, yes, there is such a place within all minds. Religion would call it hell, a place of torment. The only way out of this hell is to become peaceful. It's hard to be peaceful when you are being tormented. So be mindful. Take care which path you choose. Take care what thoughts you think, young fun. How do you know if your thoughts are bad for you? I asked, my voice small but earnest, reaching for understanding like a hand grasping at starlight. Ogleflow's gaze softened, his eyes warm with patience. Life is a mirror. It reflects your inner thoughts and beliefs. If what you see in the mirror upsets you, know that it is not the image that bothers you, but your inner thoughts and beliefs that created it. You are upset with yourself because you believe the reflection is real. Learn to love yourself, and the mirror of life will reflect it back to you. How will I know what thoughts to change? Not all thoughts are bad, I said, grappling with the weight of his words, my young mind straining to hold their meaning. How you feel about the reflection in the mirror of life is a guide. It is your friend. If a thought brings joy, you are aligned with God. If it causes anger, sadness, or fear, upset in any way, know your thoughts are not in alignment with God. When you feel that first twinge of upset, that's the moment to act. Do not wait until it becomes a monster you will have to face on your journey back to God. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? At the time, his words felt like a tapestry of truth woven just beyond my reach, their threads shimmering but elusive. I sensed their depth, but my young mind couldn't fully unravel their meaning. I sat quietly, tracing patterns in the sand with my finger, lost in the echo of Ogleflow's wisdom. I drew a picture of Ogleflow soaring through the air after being struck by Butthead, a childish giggle bubbling up, lightening the weight of my thoughts. Then another question surfaced, sharp and curious. How come Butthead could see you? I asked, my curiosity reignited, a spark in the cavern's stillness. Why, young fun, I allowed it to be so, Ogleflow replied, a playful glint dancing in his eyes, like sunlight on water. Why would you do that? Didn't it hurt when he hit you? I pressed, incredulous, my voice tinged with concern. Let's just say I have no wish to experience that again. He chuckled, his laughter warm and infectious, filling the cavern with a fleeting burst of joy. But why did you allow it? I insisted, leaning forward, eager for the truth. It was the only way I could get you to enter the dead forest. You were crying for meadow, and it's all I could think of at the time, he admitted, his tone softening, a trace of regret flickering in his gaze. A flicker of indignation rose in me, tricked, manipulated like a piece on a game board. The sting of being made a fool pricked at my pride, a sharp thorn in my chest. But as Ogleflow's earlier words echoed, when you feel that first twinge of upset, that's the moment to act. I paused, the lesson stirring within me. I am upset with you, Ogleflow. You tricked me. I can't change the way that I feel about that, I said, my voice firm but trembling, a mix of defiance and vulnerability. It's how you look at it, young fun. You think I tricked you and you are upset. But who are you upset with? Me for tricking you or yourself for being tricked? I think you will find it's the latter. You are angry with yourself and you are projecting it onto me. Take responsibility for the way that you feel. Accept it. You are angry with yourself and only you can change that. You got fooled. Laugh it off. A lesson learned. His words cut through my defensiveness like a blade of light, and I realized he was right. The anger was mine, born of my own wounded pride, a weight I had chosen to carry. Clinging to it was futile, like grasping at smoke. Why make myself feel bad? I took a deep breath, letting the resentment slip away, dissolving like mist in the cavern's glow. For the first time, I chose not to feed the stream of negative thoughts, a lesson that would become a cornerstone in the years to come, a tool to reshape the currents of my mind. The cavern transformed into a haven of joy and restoration, its magic a balm to my weary spirit. My strength renewed, I dove into the crystal-clear pool, the water cool and silken against my skin, embracing me like a second skin. I swam to the bottom, retrieving smooth, glistening stones that sparkled like captured stars in the fungi's glow. Each one a treasure I eagerly showed Ogleflow. Laughter echoed off the walls, bright and unburdened as we shared this moment, a bond forming that felt like father and son, pure and unspoken. I never knew my real father, and in that fleeting instant, I wished Ogleflow could fill that void, his presence a steady light in my world of shadows. The thought made me chuckle. He belonged to this realm of magic, not the mundane world beyond the mountain. I could have lingered in that peace forever. the cavern's tranquility a siren's call to my soul. But the journey beckoned, its pull undeniable. I dressed and sat beside Ogleflow, the weight of a lingering question pressing on my heart. Meadow's words about my mother echoed in my mind, and in this sacred place I felt ready to face the truth. My heart braced for whatever it might hold. "Is my mother really here in this world?" I asked, my voice steady, resonant with a quiet resolve. Ogleflow studied me, his gaze searching, as if peering into the depths of my soul. "It's impossible not to know a thing, young Fun," he said, his voice low and measured, each word a pebble dropped into the still waters of my mind. "All information is available to those who desire it. But you can block it. You are connected to your mother, your father, through your heart. That's where you will find them. But this is a journey through my mind. Why are we here then?" I asked, confusion creeping in, a shadow across the pool's light. "We are here, young Fun, to clear the block that you have created out of fear. The fear of being shown love only to have it snatched away again. Your mother calls to you in your dreams. She calls to you from your heart, but you search for her in your mind. That's why you cannot find her." His words struck a deep chord, resonating with a truth I felt but couldn't yet fully grasp. Fear of rejection, of love offered and then withdrawn, had built walls around my heart, forged from the pain of abandonment by the local children, Auntie M, and most profoundly, my parents. Yet, in Ogleflow's voice, there was a spark of hope, a promise that those walls could crumble. Energized, I sprang to my feet, my voice ringing with newfound excitement. "Let's go then," I shouted, the cavern amplifying my words into a defiant echo. "Not so fast, young Fun. We have a long way to go," Ogleflow said, his tone measured, a gentle tether to my surging enthusiasm. Confusion flickered within me, dimming my spark. He had always said the journey mattered, not the destination. "If there is no destination, then how do you know we have a long way to go?" I asked, my brow furrowing as I sought to untangle his words. "Young Fun, you are only 10 years old, just turned at that. You're much too young for this sort of journey, but here we are," he said, pausing, his gaze softening with a trace of melancholy. "The destination is not a place, it's a state of being, a state of mind." I stood frozen, his words a riddle too vast for my young mind to hold. Their meaning shimmered just out of reach, like the fleeting shapes in the pool's reflection. Years later, as an adult weathered by time, I would understand he spoke of growth, of the slow blossoming of maturity. Life's journey winds through countless paths, each choice a lesson that builds wisdom, until the fears of childhood become mere dust, scattered by the winds of experience. But in that moment, I could only grasp at shadows. "I don't understand," I admitted, frustration creeping into my voice. "You're not making any sense." "Like I said, you are too young to understand," he replied, his voice gentle, a patient hand extended across the gap of years. "What about the block? Can't we just clear it now?" I pressed, desperate for a tangible step forward. "The blockage is deep within your mind, young Fun, where you have buried all your pain. That is the blockage that needs to be cleared. We will get there. Our journey will take us there eventually," he assured, his words steady, like the drip of water shaping stone over centuries. Frustration swelled, each answer piling more questions atop my confusion. The more Ogleflow revealed, the more I felt adrift in a sea of half-understood truths. I resolved to ask no more, my mind too tangled to unravel further mysteries. I was ready to leave the cavern, and Ogleflow sensed it, his presence a quiet compass guiding me forward. He stretched out his hand, and I placed mine in his, the warmth of his touch a grounding force amidst the whirl of my thoughts. "Remember, young Fun, the joy is in the journey," he said with a smile, his eyes twinkling with a light that mirrored the fungi's glow. I returned a wry grin, the weight of my fears still lingering. "I'm still waiting to see that. You might be having a good time, but I have been scared the whole time." His laughter filled the cavern, a bright, cascading sound that drew my own chuckle in its wake, a shared moment of lightness that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Come, young Fun, there is a way out back here," he said, gesturing toward the far end of the cavern. There, a narrow gap yawned between two massive slabs of rock, their surfaces slick with moisture and etched with the scars of eons. Ogleflow squeezed through, his lithe form barely fitting, and called for me to follow. The passage slanted at a 30-degree angle, stretching 20 feet through suffocating darkness, the air thick with the scent of damp stone and ancient stillness. I shimmied sideways, my heart lurching each time loose gravel rained down from above, a faint patter that echoed like a warning. I froze with every sound, wincing, my body rigid with the fear of dislodging something larger, a slab, a boulder, that could crush me in an instant. The faint glow at the passage's end beckoned, where Ogleflow waited, his silhouette framed by the light, his impatience a subtle hum in the air. Emerging into a small chamber, my every breath reverberated in the confined space, the walls pressing close like a living thing. Ogleflow stood ahead, peering into an opening in the ground where a strange, pulsating light spilled upward, casting wild patterns across his shimmering skin. I joined him, my eyes widening at the sight below. A river of colors, flowing like liquid starfire, its hues of crimson, sapphire, and gold swirling in a mesmerizing dance. It moved with the grace of water, but was something else entirely, alive with an energy that seemed to sing. "What is that?" I asked, my voice hushed, awe threading through every syllable. "It's a river of dreams, young fun," Ogleflow replied, his tone reverent as if speaking of a sacred relic. The descent to the river was a cautious pilgrimage, each step deliberate in the shifting, prismatic light. The river's colors reflected off the jagged walls, rippling like a rainbow's echo, casting the chamber in a kaleidoscope of ever-changing hues. Ogleflow's form flickered with the light, his iridescent skin a dizzying array of shades, as if he were a living prism caught in a storm of color. I laughed, the sight absurdly joyful, a burst of lightness in the weight of the unknown. "I see you finally found some of that joy you've been missing, young fun," he teased, his smile warm, a beacon in the river's glow. The river of dreams flowed smoothly into a narrow tunnel, its gentle current moving with a hypnotic grace, its low humming a soothing lullaby woven into the air. Apprehension stirred within me, a quiet tremor beneath my curiosity. This was uncharted, a leap into the abyss of the unknown. "What's it like in there?" I asked, my voice betraying the nerves that coiled in my chest. "You will not be able to see me in there, young fun. You will be lost in a dream world," he warned, his words heavy with both promise and peril. "Wait a minute, that doesn't sound good," I protested, my feet rooted to the stone, but before I could argue, Ogleflow's hands were on my shoulders, and with a gentle but firm push, he sent me tumbling into the river. I was enveloped in a weightless sea of color, floating in a boundless void where gravity held no sway. The river cradled me, its currents soft and silken, my body unburdened, as if I had shed the weight of the world. I breathed easily, each inhale filling me with a strange, vibrant energy, my fears dissolving into a profound calm I had never known. The river danced around me, its colors weaving into fleeting shapes, towers of glass, trees of fire, faces that shimmered and faded like smoke. I reached for them, my fingers brushing nothing but air, the forms always just beyond my grasp, drifting away in a slow, tantalizing waltz. Faces of strangers and friends flickered, morphing and dissolving. A wolf became a lion, then a bear, each transition fluid, like a story unfolding in light. A bustling Christmas market materialized, snow blanketing the ground, the air sharp with the scent of pine and mulled wine. People hurried past in thick coats, their breath clouding in the chill. I stepped through a door into an inn, the warmth of a hearth enveloping me, only to find myself on the deck of an ocean liner, the salt air tangy on my lips, the horizon endless and alive. The dreams felt real, each one pulling me deeper until the world beyond ceased to exist. I was no longer a mere observer, but a thread in their tapestry, my reality reshaped by their vibrant embrace. Time lost meaning, the boundaries of self dissolving into the river's flow. Then abruptly, Ogleflow's face appeared, his hands tapping my cheeks, his voice a distant anchor calling my name. Slowly I surfaced, my senses returning as I lay on a cold stone ledge, his relieved smile hovering above me like a guiding star. "What happened?" I asked, my voice thick with disorientation, the dream still clinging to the edges of my mind. You drowned, young Fun, he said, his tone grave, weighted with the nearness of loss. Drowned, I shouted, panic flaring like a spark in dry grass. How can I drown? It's not water. I could breathe. There are many ways to drown, young Fun. You can be drowned in water. You can be drowned in paperwork. You can be drowned in debt. You were drowned in the dreams of the river. If I hadn't pulled you out, you would have stayed in that world of dreams forever, he explained, his eyes steady, a quiet urgency beneath his calm. It felt so real, yet I couldn't touch it, I murmured, still dazed, the memory of the river's embrace lingering like a half-forgotten song. Dreams are always just out of reach, young Fun. If you could touch them, interact with them, they wouldn't be dreams. They would be reality, he said, his voice soft but firm, a teacher imparting a truth that would echo through my years. In later years, in quiet moments when the world grew still, my thoughts would drift to the river of dreams, accompanied by the faint strains of a song. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true? But I saw it differently. Dreams were fleeting, shiny distractions that pulled focus from life's true work. Imagination and action forged reality, not the ephemeral visions of the river. A star might claim they dreamed of fame, but it was their relentless effort, lessons, persistence, resilience that carved their path. Dreams were passive, mere spectators. Imagination was creation, a fire that burned with purpose, a force that shaped the world. What now? I asked, my voice steadier, the river's spell fading as I grounded myself in the present. Ogleflow pointed to a ladder bolted to the wall, its rungs glinting faintly in the river's reflected light. At its top, high above, was what looked like a drain cover, a portal to the unknown. Up there? I said, a mix of curiosity and anticipation stirring within me, like a breeze before a storm. This is the easy part, young Fun, he replied, his tone light but laced with a quiet confidence. And to be honest, it was. A ladder to climb, simple, solid, each rung a promise of progress. Strangely, I felt eager, no longer paralyzed by the fears that had once gripped me. A quiet courage bloomed within, fragile but growing, fueled by the lessons of the cavern and the river. I climbed first, my hands steady on the cold metal, my heart pounding with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration. Reaching the drain cover, I pushed it open with a grunt, the scrape of metal echoing in the chamber below. A rush of cool air greeted me, carrying the faint scent of earth and possibility. I paused, glancing back at Ogleflow, his shimmering form a beacon in the river's glow, then turned my gaze upward, ready to step into whatever awaited beyond.